أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So we are changing gears a little bit. For the past 2.5 years, I believe, we have been going through in Quran in revelation order. It started getting a little hard, so we decided to change gears a little bit. For today, this is what I was planning for. Quran invites us to contemplate on it. Tadabbur, the word used for that in Quran is tadabbur. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Do they not contemplate Quran? This was one. But also, as we will see today, Quran helps us contemplate as well. So that's why the title is Contemplating on Qur'an, but also Contemplating with Quran. This is why I've chosen this title. But as before starting what to contemplate with Quran, whatever you bring to Quran, this is what you are, like whatever precondition you come to Quran with, this is what you take out of Quran. So this is why what is Quran is a good question to ask at the beginning, so that I will properly contemplate on Quran and I will properly contemplate with Quran upon things. This is what, like I am again taking help from Nursi's writings, and for his commentary, he starts with, before starting to interpret Quran, he starts with what is Quran. This is why asking that question is important. And he gives many descriptions of what Quran is. I copy-pasted it in here. First, I will just read it once, and then today, inshallah, I will try to focus on the first three, which is noted in here, with some examples from Quran. Because how do I know the author? I rely on the author here, the Imam Nursi here, which says Quran is the pre-eternal translation of the mighty book of the universe. Let's say this is going to be a sentence, but then I would say, well, what's your evidence for that? And what does that mean? So inshallah, by the end of these discussions, what I'm trying to reach at is having a more comprehensive understanding of what Quran is and what is it good for, in a sense, so that it can be useful for me later on when I interact with Quran and when I interact with life through Quran, if that makes sense. So, and before I read anything in here, let's make it a little bit, tiny bit interactive. What is Quran for you guys? If somebody asks you, what is Quran? What would you say what Quran is? No cheating? Yes.
A book of guidance.
Book of guidance.
Explanations for sort of what my purpose is as a human and how to navigate my life in its entirety with all its problems, but also all of the, maybe the seeming, what I perceive as problems, and then like how to sort of navigate those and like different aspects of it.
Okay, so I am in this ship of life, I'm going through it, and with ups and downs, things are happening in this life, and I would like to know how to navigate. So this is a book of guidance in this regard. Good. What else? What is Quran for you? We can wait a few minutes so that we hear your genuine, heartfelt answer for what Quran is.
I'm starting over.
Yeah, starting over. Yes.
It's a book that when I read it, I expect it to be 100% true and
Yep.
accurate.
A book that you expect, I'm just repeating for the online, a book that when you read, you're expecting it to be 100% accurate of
Whatever it's mentioning, there's
whatever
no
it's mentioning. Okay.
doubt in it.
There's no doubt in it. Okay. So you expect it to be 100% correct.
That's the standard that I would hold up for that book because it claims to be the word of my creator.
Okay. So good.
That's not an expectation I have for anything else.
I see. So since it is speech of your creator, as it claims, and you expect that creator, maker knows best about anything, thing within quotes, then it should be 100% true. And by true, what you mean in this case, it's matching what?
If I approach it with how it's intended for me, then there is no like contradictions in the understanding that I'm getting. If I'm approaching how it's meant to be, like how if it's written for me, and I take it as this is written for me, then like if it's actually from the source of infinite wisdom, then I would expect that the guidance that it gives, it would be applicable to everything without, like, exceptions in the sense that, like with human works created by humans or guidance with, so you're saying, you would think that there would be situations where it's like, this is made to a majority of the time, but in this case, it's not applicable. But with this book, I have the expectation that this should be applicable to every situation. No matter, there shouldn't be like division that, or if you are in a religious setting, then you can, or if you're in this state of your life, then you can do this, and you can neglect it during other times.
Okay, so you're looking for a holistic, which includes everything, explanation, and this explanation needs to be correct. There shouldn't be anything like this doesn't make sense, or it's contradicting me, or my perception of reality, or whatever. It should be correct. Yes.
I guess like, if somebody is from the outside to ask me what is going on, just oh, it's a book that I use to try to understand my religion to some degree. I don't think I've contemplated to the level that expert people contribute just now, but I think why I would read the Quran, if like that was the question. I think it's usually when I'm like thinking, okay, like I have question about God to some degree, or the desire to get closer to the concept of God that's being explained to me. I don't quite get it, or I'm not quite feeling whatever resonance that seems to be happening in the room. So then I will read and be like, let me see if I feel this sentiment that everybody else seems to be feeling. So I read the stories, but even then, I still have questions just because the language, the way it's written, isn't no translation. It's not quite how I talk in my day-to-day, so I still have questions left even after I pose it. Sometimes I still in the same emotion actually once I pose it too. It's just, so for me, it's just like a book that I kind of play to the war with, where I'm like, okay, I think I know what you're saying, but I'm like, no, actually, I don't get it again. So I feel more that like concrete understanding.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you for your heartfelt, genuine answer. I mean, not to say that others are not. Actually, recently I was talking to a friend and he was mentioning a YouTube channel, a Turkish YouTube channel. The name of the channel is Two Atheists. And they were coming from religious families. And one of the guys were saying that, well, I was happy when I was religious, but I read translation of Quran and I became atheist, but now my life is ruined. I am very unhappy. And he says, because of Quran, I left religion, he says. And then he says, I missed my previous happy days, so I wanted to get back to religion, but I read Quran for a second time, and then it became the reason for me not entering the religion, he says. Interesting, right? So, because this really depends on what Quran is, what do you expect from Quran? Because he was, for example, saying that the language of Quran against disbelievers, which I am, he says, now I'm a disbeliever, and the way Quran talks about disbelievers is very repulsive. So he says, it shouldn't be like this. It should be more like an inviting, oh, come, whatever. So what do I expect from Quran in this sense? What is Quran? So this is a genuine concern, because I didn't watch that channel, but my friend, whom I trust, he says, there are many atheist channels and they are aggressive. He says these two guys are genuinely trying to get something. Apparently, they are not having this tension, yet apparently they are not able to, or at least they are in the journey still on the other side of the fence. So, and apparently, per their testimony, they couldn't make much of Quran, or even it backfired on them. Yeah.
I also have questions, and like, I think a lot of things I don't understand, I don't know the approach. I think if you're mentioning this, the two guys, I still have this expectation, but I think most of the time I tend to think that if I have a question, it's probably because there's a problem in my approach. Whereas there are people who think, well, if my question isn't answered, then there's a problem with the book. And honestly, if I encounter people who will say that, I don't know how to offer guidance or help or any sort of explanation for that. Why I'm choosing to think that it's my approach and why they're choosing to think that it's my book, and how can you tell?
Actually, that's a very good point, right? So why do you choose to think that maybe it's about me? Like if I see our beloved brother Atik here, and he does something weird, so would I interpret it as, well, probably he is wrong? Or would I say that, well, probably there is a certain reason that Atik is acting weird today? Which way will I go? If I were to be meeting Atik for the first time, I guess, and if he acts weird, I would say this guy is weird. But if I know Atik for, I don't know how many years, Atik, 10 years? And he's generally not so weird of a person. I mean, he's a good guy. And then if I see him acting weird today, then my attitude would be different. I would say, well, why today? So I guess this might be a reason, not sure if generally our attitude, but if I get to know Quran in a certain way and benefited from it to a good extent, and then those question marks could become, maybe it's because of me, because I saw its benefit for so much, but now something not matching, but maybe it's because of me, then I can say that. But if it is the other way around, like I haven't seen anything good about it, then yeah, I would say, well, this question clearly shows that it's wrong and what. So I guess there should be a reason actually for me to say that this is why I am choosing the attitude to take. Maybe I am not getting it, but this is a possibility. Another possibility is because I'm afraid of being burnt in hell, so I better say it's good. Probably I'm wrong, right? This might be another option. Yes. Chat comments? Oh, there are chat comments. Okay. Okay, Natalie. An explanation of the universe or guidance to help us make sense of the universe. So yes, Natalie is answering the question about what's Quran for you. An explanation of the universe or guidance to help us make sense of the universe. All answers are there, or at least guidance. And she expands on what she means by universe. The universe, our purpose, and life. So that's good. Would you like to add anything? So, but I should be concerned about this, like making sense of universe, making sense of life, making sense of what I'm going through. If I have such a question, then I will look for guidance. And whom do I expect to tell me the answers for that? Because scientists would say, well, this is what we are doing, actually. We are concerned about how the universe is working. We were concerned about whether Earth is at the center of the universe, or was it that sun was at the center? And after years of debate back and forth, finally, actually, we concluded that Earth was not at the center. It was sun at the center and whatnot. So this is what we are dealing with. We are trying to explain what's happening. But in this case, for me to ask these questions to Quran, though, I need to see it as initially Sister Zaha was saying, I expect my maker to tell me about this. So really, to sit before Quran, somehow I must have a sense of a maker, a creator. This is why it makes, I find it a little hard to see how an atheist would read Quran because of this reason. Because atheism is a stand. You're saying that there is no God. And now you are reading a book which is claiming to be a speech of God. How would you read that? Yeah.
Maker prior to
Somehow, isn't it? And this maker at least should be open to the idea that there is a being, there must be a being, or something is going on in here. Because atheist, for example, is saying that there cannot be a God, there does not exist a God. I already made such a decision.
The point is that there's this scripture that can make you understand this thing as a Christian, then you need to reach a prior conclusion prior to coming here. How do you reach the prior, like how do you reach the prior conclusion? Like,
Very good point. Very good point. So what happens in this case? You will read Quran as a philosophy in this case, like as an idea. It will benefit you still. But not everything in Quran will benefit you. Like, for example, when Quran brings evidences from the creation, from the universe, saying that, look, could this happen? These are all the signs pointing to a maker. And actually, this is going to be one of the first verses that I will pull up. This makes sense to anyone, irrespective of, could make sense to, irrespective of this is speech of God or speech of Ahmed or Mehmed or anyone. Because it is bringing evidence from the existence and leaving you with yourself, saying that could this happen by itself? Then you say, well, it's breaking your or someone's stand of categorically there cannot exist a creator. It's annihilating that. But from there on, if I start getting into some expectation that there must really be a speech, then based on my understanding of the speaker, I will start benefiting from the speech. Because really, the speech changes based on who the speaker is. Yes. Okay.
Like, I know we discussed like everything that we do is also kind of at the mercy of maker. And so the contemplation that all the idea I have, I assume also has to be provided to me. So maybe that initial spark of enough curiosity, like I'll be stupid to think I think I'm so special that I just magically thought, oh, I can definitely think there's a maker, and another person can't comprehend that same thing. So that thought is also provided to me, so then is that like, but then wouldn't that make it seem like the supposed atheist maybe didn't have that thought didn't cross, or are you saying the thought did cross and then they made an option and that choice was like, no, use this path?
Yeah. So, I mean, we are jumping a little forward, but since it's asked, yes, like just check for yourself. You're somewhere in your life. So, whatever idea comes to you, you are being suggested with this idea. There must be something. But then I might choose to accept this idea of, yet there seems to be something happening in this universe. It cannot be by chance. Or I can say, no, it is by chance. I am denying the possibility that, or the thought that it cannot happen by chance. It's a choice given to me. And I'm truly free to go one way or another in this case. If I end up being an atheist, I am choosing to deny this sign that's coming. Or if I say, well, there seems to be something there, then I am opening for whatever is going to be the next option. And this is how it is for ourselves. I mean, not only hypothesizing about an atheist out there, but just look at yourself, how you choose, how you navigate in life when it comes to such stuff. So, yes, then my understanding of who creator is, who the speaker is, will make a huge difference for how Quran speaks to me. But this being said, that understanding will get updated over time. Like today, if I ask you who is creator, who is God, what do you mean when you say God, you will come up with certain understanding. And when you read Quran, you will be listening to the speech of that creator. You cannot go more than how you know about your creator. But as you read Quran, your understanding of your creator is now going to be expanded. And next time you read the same Quran, your understanding is going to be different. Because now description of Quran changes along with your understanding of the speaker in the Quran. This is why we keep reciting Quran again and again, and we are invited to recite again and again. This being said, this takes us back to, just to repeat for online, there are two questions. What if there's this atheist guy who has never believed in God? Then how is he going to start reading Quran at all or get guidance at all, since Quran is the guidance? Quran is coming up with signs from the existence, from the creation itself. So it's not saying that believe in this because I say so. It's just saying that look at with your own eyes. What do you see? What does this lead to? So even if somebody is going to read it as speech of a man initially, they will say, well, I mean, even if this is a super smart guy, like he must be super smart. But then what he says is saying that, no, it's beyond me. So, and a door opens for breaking this idea of atheism or denial of the creator in there. So the door is open. Okay, so let's read together a bunch of description that Imam Nursi comes up with for what Quran is. And inshallah, we will come up with some examples from Quran for those descriptions. What's it? There's a hand. Okay, Brother Birkan, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Very quick regarding the question. So we should also not forget the prophetic, the way of conveying Quran to unbelievers. Unbelievers here meaning the people who were not exposed to message before. So that was the whole life of the prophet, right? Everything he told was unbeliever in that sense, right? That was the first time they were hearing about the message. So he didn't give them a text or a message and ask them to study. When, for instance, he wanted to deliver the message to another region, he would do what? He would send companions to live there. I mean, we may assume that, oh, because at that time there was no, I don't know, the impressing house and so on, they didn't have books. They did have some writings. I mean, the people knew how to write, how to read, at least a few of them. But he sent the people to live there. So the same way, if the question is how we expect an atheist, unbeliever, to get a message from Quran, the answer is not the book itself, is you who would read, understand, and deliver the message of the book. Of course, there are some cases where people start reading it as just like reading a book and then get fascinated, become believer, and so on and so forth. There might be such exceptions, but the prophetic methodology starts from you. In our case, there are two, because she asked it. She will be the guidance for the atheist person.
Yes. And I guess since you were mentioning an exception, probably you guys watched his video, Jeffrey Lang, the math professor. He says he was an atheist. And so somebody gifted him a Quran, and then he was just reading it, and he knows Christianity from before. And then as he reads the story, he says, well, like whomever has written this book just mixes up the story. So initially, this is how because at the beginning, there's this creation of Adam. So then he reads it for a second time and says, well, there's something going on in here. So it attracts his attention. And he was just so much affected by the way the story is being conveyed to tell human story, actually. He didn't read it, interestingly. We read the story literally, but him being an atheist back then, he didn't read it as a mythological history, but he was reading as the story of human. And he says, wow, like this makes sense. What says in here makes sense. Then opens himself to the claim of the book itself, like a creator is speaking to here, so on and so forth. So, but yes, agreed with Brother Birkan. Quran is not coming in the vacuum. The message is not coming in the vacuum. It's coming with people. And that's what Sahaba did. So the Quran is, and there are, I think there are going to be 5-6 slides. I will read them slowly, and then we will focus on these first 3 for today. The Quran is the pre-eternal translation of the mighty book of the universe, the post-eternal interpreter of the various tongues reciting the verses of creation, the commentator of the book of the worlds of the seen and the unseen. We will focus on them in detail. But the list goes on. It is the revealer of the treasuries of the divine names hidden in the heavens and on the earth. It is the key to the truths concealed beneath the lines of events. It is the tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world. It is the treasury of the post-eternal favors of the most merciful and of the pre-eternal addresses of the most holy, which come from the world of the unseen beyond the veil of this manifest world. It is the sun, the foundation and plan of the spiritual world of Islam. It is the sacred map of the worlds of the hereafter. It is the expounding word, lucid exposition, decisive proof, and clear interpreter of the divine essence, divine attributes, divine names, and divine functions. It is the instructor of the world of humanity. It is the light and water of Islam, the macroanthropos. It is the true wisdom of mankind. Like macroanthropos is the big human. The true wisdom of mankind, and the true guide and leader urging humanity to prosperity and happiness. That would be nice. It looks like somebody other than Trump is offering prosperity and happiness. It's both a book of law, Sharia, a book of prayer, a book of wisdom, a book of worship, a book of command and summons, a book of invocation, and a book of thought, and a unique, comprehensive, sacred book comprising many books to which recourse may be held for all the needs of all mankind. It's a book, a unique, comprehensive, sacred book comprising many books in it. Interestingly, one book, which is many books at the same time. It's a revealed scripture resembling a sacred library. This is a follow-up to the previous sentence. It resembles a sacred library which offers treatises suitable for all the various ways and different paths of all the saints and the veracious ones and the wise and the learned, which is appropriate for the illuminations of each way and enlightens it, and is suitable for the course of each path and depicts it. There are many different, like within history, many scholars, many different saints and their followers. All of them are benefiting from the same book. But you see that, these are Sufis, you say, but there are 20 different or 30, 100 different types of Sufis. All of them are different. All of them are benefiting from the same Quran. All of them found the Creator, and they are living a consistent life. And then you see scholarly tradition, different ulama. All of them, again, 20 different school of thought. All of them benefit from the same Quran. So it's like a sacred library. All different paths are benefiting from it. So this was our intro. And inshallah, we will try to find examples of what author is mentioning, what Imam Nursi was mentioning with those descriptions for Quran from within Quran. But let's start with pre-eternal translation of the mighty book of the universe. So, anything you would like to say about this statement? Pre-eternal translation of the mighty book of the universe. Yes.
Yes, one thing that had me kind of confused. I still don't really understand like the distinction between something pre-eternal versus post-eternal.
Mm.
I guess that just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Like how something can be, like what it means for something to be
Mhm.
pre-eternal translation or post-eternal interpretation.
It is eternal, and when it comes to eternity, we talked about pre and post. What does it really mean? If it's eternal is eternal, what do you mean by pre-eternal, post-eternal? Like what do you mean? It's azali, abadi. So yeah.
Think instead of just putting eternal, like whatever you think is pre-post, think.
It does, but it's speaking to me. So it's speaking to me, so it should mean something specific to me when it says pre-eternal. So it's a translation, but it's a pre-eternal translation. So let's forget about pre for a second. What does eternal bring into the picture? It's a translation, but it's an eternal translation. I guess we should maybe start from the book part of it, but since you have been attending the discussions for quite some time, this analogy of book doesn't sound weird to you, or does it? Like seeing the universe as a book. Right? So Now, if that's fine, if I do see the universe as a mighty book, does it need translation? Let's start from there. Does it need a translation? Yeah. Mhm. Yes. So why, and let me quickly go back to here. So in the first, he was taking it as the book of universe. In the second, he was talking about it, various tongues reciting the verse of creation. So in a sense, from one angle, he looks at the universe as a book. In another angle, he's going to look at the universe as a speech. So what would it mean if you see it as a book? A book is something written and stays there. Like it's in past tense, if you like. It is done. Books are written in the past and put in the shelf. But when you read the book, you are in your maybe understanding, in your imagination, you are being together with the author. So you're not hearing the author, but you're reading the author. So there's this sort of a distance, which might be the case in my perception of my creator and the universe. Like it's like a book. I read the book and understand about its author. There's one way to look at it. In another case, he's going to talk about hearing it as tongues speaking, because speech is live, right? Meaning,
We're talking about the first part of the second.
I'm comparing both. There is. Yeah, but what's the distinction between them? Like, for example, you going to a art gallery and looking at a picture there. It's an artwork that was done in the past, and by looking at this piece of art, you are trying to get connection with its maker, right? But it's a different form of communication with the maker. Now imagine attending a talk that is being given, because an art piece is done and it's dry. But when it comes to a speech, speech is live. It is happening right now as well. So because I might be thinking of the book of universe as something that's done a little bit distant, like this is a different level of approaching it. But when I see it, oh, actually, you know what? It's not only a book. Actually, it's a live speech. The creator is alive. The speaker is not dead. It's not that the speaker spoke in the past and now I am reading it. It's also in a different way. The speaker is actively speaking and I'm listening to him. So the emphasis in here is, one of them is, because when book is different than speech, when it comes to book, what comes to my mind is the first chapter to last chapter, everything is written. And I am the one that's moving through it. And there's a perfect coherence among all the pages of this book and everything. And then, which tells me about its maker. But when it comes to speech, now the interaction is more lively, more active with the speaker. So you can look at the existence, the universe in both ways. And they're going to give you a different sense of nearness or liveliness of the maker. Yes. Yes. Then we come to pre-eternal, the eternal part and then pre-eternal part. Okay? Because in one of them he says pre-eternal, in the other one he says post-eternal. So let's come to, I'm going in the reverse direction. So translation of this book. Translation because I'm trying to make sense of this book of the universe, the existence. I'm trying to understand what it is saying. What am I supposed to make out of it? Like, just look at our little Ali, for example. He is getting potty trained nowadays. And you can imagine what world looks like for him in such a mindset. Like, it has been such a big step for him. Everything is about potty nowadays. This is his world, and he's trying to make sense of that much of the world, right? This is where we start from. Like, this is where you have been. I have been at some point, right? And we are trying to make sense of why shall I not make into my diaper and then make into this potty. This is where we start from. We are trying to make sense of it because for him, it's just equally fine. So as I'm trying to make sense of, because I find myself in here, I do not define here. I am put here. So now, whom put me in here is going to describe to me what he means by this. Translation is necessary for me in this sense, but the translator should be eternal in the sense that he's not going to be within the book itself. He's going to be someone who knows the book in its entirety. Yeah.
And so the translation is also not within the book itself.
Translation is not within the book itself. From one angle, yes. But that becomes, I mean, if you would like to make a comment about this, make it. No, okay. So let's not get there. So, but pre-eternal in this case means what? Since the allegory that's being used in here is book, the one who wrote the book has known the book from before relative to me. Pre-eternal is a speech spoken to me, so it should make sense to me. Like, do you think that for this book, the ideas evolved over time? The interpretation is going to change over time. What I mean over time is, if you were, for example, I mean, your understanding, your interpretation of Quran changes over time, isn't it? When you first read versus now what you're studying of Quran, 10 years later, if I read you the same verse, your understanding of Quran is going to change, isn't it? Or events in the life that you encounter. Something had been very annoying to you at some point in your life. 10 years later, your interpretation of the same event would be, oh, I am thankful to Creator that this happened. Your interpretation, your translation of the same event is changing. Why? Because you didn't read the book from the very beginning. You're reading the book as you go through it. But I am in need of an interpreter or a translation of the book of this universe, which is knowing things from the very beginning. From my end, pre-eternal. This is what that means. From my end, everything. The translator of this book has known everything from the very beginning. So, but then my focus in here is going to be with the word book. Because it looks like I was thinking, how do I say that Universe's book, book of universe. Where did this come from? This is one of like the word ayah. I'm going to focus on the word ayah here, which is used in two different ways in Quran. One is the verses of Quran. It's being used in the context of verses revealed to the Prophet in Quran. And another one is وَآيَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ, verses or signs of your Creator. In translation, when it is in the context of ayat of Quran, they translate it as verses of Quran. But in the context of signs in the creation, they translate it as signs rather than verses. But Quran uses the same word for both. This gives the impression that Quran is reading the universe as a book, as you would read the verses. Because what are the verses of Quran? Verses of Quran are really signs pointing to its creator, to my Creator. So line by line, Quran is reading the book of universe and saying that these are the signs, these are the signs, these are the signs. So this is just one. There are many. If you search in Quran for the word ayah, ayat min Rabbi, many examples will come out of this. This is from Surah Yasin, a very famous example. So let's go with this to see how Quran is pointing to or reading me or translating me the book of the universe. وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ الْأَرْضُ الْمَيْتَةِ. This is in Surah Yasin, when in the context of the surah, people are questioning resurrection, saying that, are we going to get resurrected? As we discussed before, it is a very far-fetched idea. How come? So, and then Quran starts giving them signs. وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ الْأَرْضُ الْمَيْتَةِ أَحْيَيْنَاهَا وَأَخْرَجْنَا مِنْهَا حَبًّا فَمِنْهُ يَأْكُلُونَ. A sign unto them is the dead earth. We revive it, and we bring forth from it grain so that they eat thereof. وَجَعَلْنَا فِيهَا جَنَّاتٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ وَفَجَّرْنَا فِيهَا مِنَ الْعُيُونِ. And we have placed therein gardens of the date palm and grapes, and we have caused springs of water to gush forth therein. لِيَأْكُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ وَمَا عَمِلَتْهُ أَيْدِيهِمْ أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. That they may eat of the fruit thereof. وَمَا عَمِلَتْهُ أَيْدِيهِمْ. I mean, in this translation, they say, and their hands made it nuts, which, like, you ate it, but you didn't do it. Who did it? You should ask that question. Very beautiful translation in this sense. Some other translations, and from which their hands made. It could be translated in both ways, because this ma in here can be taken as whatever, and also a negation. This translation took it as negation, which I appreciated more. And their hands made it nuts. أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Will they not then give thanks? سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. Glory be to him who created all the pairs of that which the earth grows, and of themselves, and of that which they know not. Like, here what's happening? Quran is just pointing to things that are happening right in front of me and saying that, who made this? You didn't do it, yet you benefit from it. Then where did it come from? And you as human is the most conscious, smartest, the most intellectual, the most capable being on earth, yet you didn't do the date palm, you didn't bring forth the water. Any of these you didn't do, yet you're benefiting. So who made it? And how it is being bring forth from the dead earth? So this is a sign. It continues, وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ اللَّيْلُ نَسْلَخُ مِنْهُ النَّهَارَ فَإِذَا هُمْ مُظْلِمُونَ. And a sign unto them is night. We strip it of the day, and lo, they are in darkness. Verses continue. Another, وَآيَةٌ لَهُمْ أَنَّا حَمَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ فِي الْفُلْكِ الْمَشْحُونِ. And a sign unto them is that we bear their offspring in the laden ship. And actually, this refers back to what Sister Zareen was mentioning at the beginning. We are on a ship, this ship of life. And this ship in the following verses are filled up with many things, like sustenance. You're on this ship, if you take the ship as the globe of earth, or your own life, like a healthy life, your ship is being sailed by someone, not by you. Your life, your heart is pumping, you get the oxygen, the most frequent sustenance that you're in need of, being provided to you for free, water, light, food, these are all in this ship. So the Creator is saying that this is another sign for you. Where does this come from? Don't you ever ask that? Like if you were just seeing that to your bank account, I mean, once a month, yes, you see this, whatever is your salary is being put. What if you were seeing that every now and then 500, 1,000 is just being put there? Shouldn't you ask, okay, I know where this salary is coming from, but how about the rest? Somebody is putting this into my account. Then comes this, وَمَا تَأْتِيهِمْ. After all these verses, in verse number 46, وَمَا تَأْتِيهِمْ مِنْ آيَةٍ مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ إِلَّا كَانُوا عَنْهَا مُعْرِضِينَ. Never came a sign of the signs of their Lord to them, but they did turn away from it. It says all those signs, all those ayat, again, it is the same word ayat, all those verses, all those ayat come to them, but they turn away from those signs, those verses. So this is an example of how Qur'an translates, or first of all, considers the existence as a book. Out of many examples, this is just one example of how Qur'an considers the universe as a book and reads us a chapter, a paragraph from here, a paragraph from there, saying that, look, in the creation of those, your sustenance, or the creation of day and night, or how you are sailing. You can literally take it sailing in the sea. You can also take it as sailing in the sea of life. Who is floating you? Question those, like makes those into a question for me to consider and relates it to me. So this was one example. And of course, in the light of this, now I go back to اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. I can ask the same question. It is asking me to read, but what is it that I'm going to read? Because I'm reading Quran today, and it says, read in the name of your Lord who created. خلق الإنسان من علق. So created human from a clot. اقرأ بربك الأكرم. Read, and your Lord is the most bounteous. الذي علم بالقلم, who teaches by the pen, who taught by the pen. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Taught man that which he knew not. So, and in this case, again, using a different picture, saying read, and talks about a pen, says that be teaching to human being. So now in this way, what do I understand from here? Because right after saying that read, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق, read in the name of your Lord who created, and then خلق الإنسان من علق, brings the topic to creation of human immediately in verse number 2. So making me read the book of, or a chapter of the book of universe, which is human now. Saying that, read this one. This is what's being brought to my attention. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Read, and your Lord is bounteous. So that I'm going to read, and this is what I am going to read. This is going to be the outcome of my reading. Your Lord is bounteous. And as I'm reading those verses, of course, I should ask myself, is he real? Do I have a Lord, first and foremost? Who is my Lord? And is my Lord bounteous? Like he keeps providing to me or not? So attracting my attention to things that I take for granted. I might be even not realizing that I have a Lord who is bounteous. Like I might have talked about this before, but for so many years, I was taking it for granted that my mom has to be at home and cook for me when I come from school. I never noticed that this was something that existed there, because since it was always there, I never noticed that it was there. So somebody come and say that, look, your mom has been providing you. Of course, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. It's not a plus. It has to be there. But one day my mom decided to work, and then I'm coming home and there's no one at home. Nobody's cooking yet. So then you realize, oh, actually. So now in here, Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. So these are the things that I am being reminded about. Your Lord is bounteous. You have a Lord, you are being maintained, sustained, and he is generously sustaining you, isn't he? Pay attention. And then, الَّذِي عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ, the one who teaches with the pen. Where's the pen? What pen are you talking about? I should ask. So now we are thinking about which pen is he referring to here then. The book of universe is being written with a pen. Books are written with pen. So the creation is an ongoing text that's being written right in front of your eyes, and he is teaching to you by writing it. Imam Nursi takes this as every particle is a tip of a pen. By them moving, like a particle coming, you eat the particle, it gets into your eyes, then it gets out of your body, becomes something else, as if it's like a tip of a pen moving in this page of this universe. But by its motion, it's writing a text. Every single motion. And the universe is nothing but motion of those particles. It's like this pen is moving on this paper and writing you this whole universe moment by moment as a meaningful book, with which the maker is conveying a message to you. By those words. Yes.
Salam alaikum. Sorry, there's the hand raised. Maybe you didn't realize.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's me who raised the hand. Sorry. Just to maybe better appreciate what it entails, the universe is being a book, and Quran is interpreting or translating it. So we usually take Quran or religion in general as regulating our lives. And what it means, we have our lives, and the life itself is defined within itself. So for instance, what it means to be a mom, what it means to be a child, or what is stool, what is urine, like for Ali, or young Ali, it's all defined within the life itself. You don't need revelation for that. You don't need any other resource for that. Your mom, your dad, the society defines it for you. This is how we see life. So if I ask about the ways of earning your, the income, what income is, what earning is, the salary, and so on and so forth, you already have all these definitions in your mind. What is death? what is being alive, what is rain, what is fruit, trees. You all have these answers in your mind, you assume. And then revelation comes, the Quran comes, and within these set of definitions, without changing them, like what is a mom, what is a child, it's obvious. The Quran regulates them. That's how we usually take how we should treat our parents, how we should treat our, let's say, children, what we should do when somebody dies, and so on. But when you study, like when you, let's say, be serious, if you are a parent or a child, and your children start asking you questions, like, Dad, why are you going to work every day? And you need to give an answer, right? Of course, you throw the automatic answer, but at the same time, you start questioning. You start asking the same question. Why I am going to work every day? What is work? What is salary? So this is what children are good for, right? They are given to you to remind you that you need to ask these questions. Why they keep asking. Then you start asking. You realize all these definitions are by something, by society, by culture, by parents, and so on. When we say universe is book and Quran translates or interprets it, it actually means Quran comes and not only regulate your life, but Quran defines your life. What is marriage? What is wife? What is husband? What is children? What is work? What is death? They all redefined by Quran. This is what it means to reading the universe as a book and letting Quran to interpret it. Instead of taking Quran as just regulating body, you take Quran as the dictionary, as the definition of things. Then things will change completely. Then you will start reading, as this ayah says, the Iqra, universe in the name of your Lord. It means when somebody asks you, what is salary? What is working? You will say, let me think how Quran would define it. What is death? We just studied a few minutes ago. Quran defined it for us. So to me, this is an extraordinary the view both about the universe and Quran. This is so different than any the traditional understanding, let's say.
Jazakallah khair. Yes, I mean, very beautiful point in terms of like putting the emphasis on what is translation. So then Quran is going to describe and define things to me in life. Because, for example, this chapter here, Quran talked about creation of embryo 14 centuries ago, and then this is what we say, right? Quran talks about those stages of creation of human being, we say. That's true from one sense, but reading it in the name of your Lord, who creates, defining human being not simply as from embryo to this stage, that stage, for the sake of human development, biological development of human, but what is the point of human being raised from one stage to another to another? What is the point? What is being meant by this stage by stage changes? There is a Rabb who changes you from one state to another carefully. This is the message. Read it in the name of your Lord. Somebody has been or is changing you stage by stage carefully. reading it in the name of Him could be understood. Jazakumullah khairan. So, post-eternal interpreter of the various tongues, reciting the verses of creation. Let's stop here. So, may Allah make us benefit from Quran. And inshallah for today, at least we read one description of Quran as a pre-eternal translation of the mighty book of the universe. For the next week, inshallah, let's try to see, let's contemplate upon whether the universe is a book, it's a mighty book. Does it need a translation? To what extent I need a translator for this book? And what sort of a translation am I interested in having for this book? Because if you think about translations of Quran, there are various translations. And sometimes what do? We compare 5, 6 different translations. Why? Why not? We go with a single translation as if it's possible. So, because we know that any of those people who translate Quran are looking at it from a certain angle. So we said, well, this man captures certain parts of it, but this other person captures a different part of it. So we are trying to combine all of them. How about when it comes to the book of universe? So something happens and you call your mom and try to, like, you cannot make sense of something and you ask that person, or nobody makes sense, you go to your psychiatrist. So I am in need of a translator of this book who is looking at it from above, not from within, but from above. And why would you ask it to your parents, for example? Because they have seen this happening before. That's why you are going and asking them, right? You are asking to their expertise. Now I'm asking the expertise of a pre-eternal translation. So let's think about it. And also, as you will encounter verses within Quran, try to look at them from this lens. How does this is this translating a part of this existence for me? Rather than reading them as just mere descriptions, or as Brother Birkan was mentioning, regulating do's and don'ts of my life. I mean, this is a description of Quran as well, as we will see. It's a book of law as it will come. But Imam Nursi started by saying it's a translation of the book of universe. So let's conclude here. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil